Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Success Life Live. My name is Eric Greid. I am your host, and today is Fun Friend Friday. I love Fun Friend Friday, where I get to bring on a guest and we talk about topics, success, life, living, thoughts, mindset. And so I'm glad that you are taking time out of your morning to join me for today's Fun Friend Friday. As you may notice, I am not in our Fun Friend Friday festive frock, but I am in Shawn Douglas, who is our guest today's very own t-shirt, Hush the Inner Bully. And so I thought it would only be appropriate to switch up the outfit to honor our friend Shawn. So we'll be getting started in that in just a minute, as soon as he gets a chance to log in, get set up, and get ready to go. In the meantime, let me remind you that this week's Success Life Lives, where we talked about what is our money mindset and then the 10 most common challenges to developing the success and wealth that we seek in our life. And then clarity is up on the blog as well at ericgreid.com. And then the news feeds are in the news feed. So while we're waiting for Mr. Shawn to jump in, I haven't seen him start in. If he did sneak in behind the back door, have him wave at me. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Gail. Good morning, Sonia. Good morning, Helen. I saw a couple other people sneak in and I didn't get a chance to see them as they scrolled past. So take a minute. I think Julia's in the house. Take a minute, who is a phenomenal Fun Friend Friday guest last week. Wow, I hope many of you took up that challenge that we tossed out last week of turning to somebody and saying, I see you as. And I see Shawn is in the house, so we'll be able to add him in just a minute. And tell the people that you love, tell the people that you care about, tell the people that inspire you, and just say, you know what, I see you as. And let them have that. Let them know that as sort of a confirmation of who they become now in your lives. You know, as a dad, I sometimes see my kid one way and I forget that he's growing and changing, and he may need to check in and make sure I know that I see who he is today. So do that challenge. I'm going to go ahead and grab my friend Shawn and invite him into the room. While I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you guys, yeah, I know that was my arm. It's like, what's he doing? Setting up the light. While I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you to do me a couple things. I can ask. I'm the host. It's like when you come to somebody's house for dinner and you say, can I help you? You really kind of hope they say no, but I'm going to say yes. Do me a favor, hit the share button and tell people it's Fun Friend. And Gail, this is just for you and the dog. It's Fun Friend Friday. And we have Shawn Douglas in the house. And then do me a second favor and say welcome Shawn as I bring him on screen. He should be joining us here in just a minute. Should we drive the dog crazy again for you, Gail? Come on, Shawn, help me drive Gail's dog crazy with
Good morning. Friday.
Oh, your dog. Was that your dog?
No, my dog is not around.
Oh, okay. There we go. Let me just adjust so we kind of matching head size. Good morning. Thank you. You see it? You see? Oh,
I
you
do.
got the sweatshirt edition?
I have the sweatshirt, the hoodie edition.
Oh, see, I have the t-shirt edition. And you need to talk to the manufacturer because the sizing is really way off.
Is it too big or too small?
It's way, no, it's small. It's fine. I'm teasing. It's funny because I've had this since you gave it to me. You gave this to me 2 years ago? 3? It's been about 3 years.
No, I think it was a year and a half ago. Believe it or not, we haven't known each other for 3 years.
Okay, so I keep certain t-shirts in my only special occasion pile. I know they're t-shirts, right? But the ones you don't wear every day, you want to save them for when you have a special occasion. And this was in the special occasion t-shirt pile. And so I was like, oh, it's been a while since I've been on a special occasion with this one. So thank you for the shirt. And thank you for being a guest this morning on Fun Friend Friday.
You're welcome. I'm excited.
I am too. So I really want to do the bully thing. I want to talk about it because I think now more than ever in our culture, in our what's going on in the world, that bully thing I think that voice has gotten really loud externally, which means it can only be getting louder internally. But
Absolutely.
tell a little bit. What I love about you is, first, your son must have a lion's heart of courage because he is not afraid to do anything.
He is a really cool kid. He's not even
And
afraid to wear heels on stage in full drag.
he's what, like 15, 14?
He's 16. He just turned
16,
16.
which is like I want to be invisible unless I'm ranked as prom king, popular, like, and so yeah, I saw that and I was like, dude, you got more than I got. Because in high school, I wouldn't have stood out that much.
Yeah, he's a rebel. He's definitely a rebel at heart.
But is he a rebel or is he somebody that just says, you know what, this is my dream. I want to do it.
I think it's a little bit of both.
How is a dad, one, I imagine that feels really wonderful and scary at the same time.
I know. I don't think it was scary. I think it was really cool. I was excited that he was willing to go for it.
How did you raise a kid that would do that? Like, how did you get to the moment as a dad that your child had enough confidence to say, yeah, I'll play the Queen of Hearts?
Well, I really think it's just our values that we play full out, that we're not really gonna focus on what other people are saying. We're gonna do what's true to us. And his goal is to be on Broadway. And he was approached to play the Queen of Hearts, and he knew that it was something that could expand his abilities and it could stretch him. And so he was willing to jump and go all in.
So, well, congratulations to him. And I know people on Broadway. Mel has people on Broadway. If he needs connections for a summer internship, I think we can hook him up.
That would be awesome.
Like Melanie, Coach Melanie, her cousin, I think it's her cousin or her nephew, I can't remember which, is currently starring as Phantom in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway.
That's way cool. That's way cool.
And I helped Linda Eder get her start in a long time ago. But anyhow, but when you said he plays full out, he knows our family values, where did he learn those? I always encourage people to have them posted on the bathroom wall, talk about them at the dinner table. How do you teach those values into your kids as a dad?
Well, I think the number one way is you have to model them. Most of you know, or some of you know, that we run a group home for kids in foster care as well. And so everything we do in life is about modeling. It's modeling good choices, modeling how to be appropriate around others, modeling social skills. And that goes down to modeling taking risk and being willing to jump in and being willing to be you. So many people struggle with that, wanting to hide behind the mask or being afraid to really be them. And so for us, it's really important that you are authentic. I think authentic is the word that's important in our house, and that we play full out.
So, and I love that because I think we talked about it. So I have been in, around, through, above, below, beaten up by the foster care system for 25 years, from group homes to case management.
Yep.
So that's how the last two snuck in the door. Lord, I was this close to like terminating her. But anyhow, I love that idea that model the person that you want your child to grow up to be. And I think sometimes as parents, we talk about who we want them to be. We lecture about who they should be. We send them off to Bible camp to learn who they should be. But are you modeling in your current life who you want your kids to be?
I think that's the key. That's really important.
So how, and you have a daughter that's how old?
She's 9.
9. How do you model different to the two of them? And I feel like I'm missing one. I apologize.
No,
Maybe it's just because every picture you have has like 10 extra kids.
Well, yeah. We do have our oldest that we adopted when he was 16 is now 20. Oh. Good Lord. I don't even know how old.
So I was just looking at the picture like, where's the red ones?
I don't know that there's, I mean, obviously every kid is different. You have to meet every kid's needs, but the expectations are the same. Um, you have to allow them to be them, and you have to allow them to make choices and make mistakes. And it's really just being a parent that is understanding and walking with grace and letting them know they're loved and letting them know that you expect them to play full out, but you also are there to catch them when they fall.
Okay. It's interesting that you use the word grace, because I think we are so asking to be a recipient of grace, but we're never a deliverer of grace.
Yeah, I can see that, especially in our society. I think everybody wants to receive it. Everybody wants the blank check to make the mistakes as many times as they can or they want. Um, but we also live in a society that loves to be offended. You know, we want to grab onto anything we can and be offended. And I think that's part of that inner bully, you know, of being justified. And um, you know, we're constantly trying to look good. You know, the inner bully doesn't want to look bad. And so when we are hanging on to that, when we cling to that, I mean, it's really easy to lose our way.
So everybody, and I see you got a friend named Jim jumping in, Jim Borst, I think.
What's up, Jim?
Like tilting my head is gonna somehow let me sit up to where it gets scrolled past. So everybody that jumped in the room, take a moment and say good morning to Shawn. Elisa's in, Aora's in. So let's get into teaching, because again, I think you stand in a really unique position because of what you do with kids in care. That voice, that inner bully voice, might be a little extra loud because of circumstances and situations, but I don't think they're exclusive. I think that we all, as children, as adults, as teams at corporations or in offices, I think there is this inner bully voice. So I want you to define what you call that inner bully voice. What does that inner bully voice look like, sound like, smell like, feel like? How do we recognize the inner bully voice?
Well, first, I think it's important to recognize that voice inside of your head isn't you. You know, that voice is not necessarily who you are. But that inner bully is, we all have that voice inside of us that says, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, you can't do that, you're not old enough, you're too old, you're too young. It's incessant, and we are abusive to ourselves, and we let that inner bully say things to ourselves that we would never let our spouse say, we would never let our kids say, we would never let our friends say, we would never let our boss say, but we do it to ourselves, and we allow that voice to constantly berate us and bully us and push us around.
You guys, I was like trying to sneak over here and make a note, and I failed. So I'm gonna have to hit replay. Did you hear him say that inner bully voice is not your voice? That's like, I mean, just that inner bully voice is not yourself speaking to self. It's the echoes of everything that everybody has ever said that you have filtered into a way that you can manufacture it over and over again. So somebody may not have called you stupid, but what you heard was somebody saying you were stupid. And so you stuck that in the card file. And then you're lazy, you're ugly, you're whatever. And you kept all those voices in your head that really aren't your voice. They're voices of other people. That's a big thought. That's a big thought, that inner bully is not my voice. It's not who I am. It's what I've collected of other people's voices.
Absolutely.
So, I'm like, feel like we should just get rid of everybody and I can just ask you a bunch of questions. Why do we collect them?
Why do we collect those
voices, the inner bully statements?
Well, I think ultimately they're trying to protect us. You know, as we've grown up, we have, as a young child, we have all these experiences that come in, and um, we we ultimately want to be safe. We want to be secure. And so when we experience something that doesn't feel good, we don't want to experience that again. On the playground, when you're called dumb or you're called stupid, that hurts. You don't want to feel that again. So we build up these defenses, these walls, these masks that try and keep us in a safe zone. And so the inner bully, it really isn't trying to destroy us. The ultimate goal is for us to be in a safe zone, in a comfort zone. And we all know that growth only happens outside of the comfort zone. So when we start thinking about those wild and crazy dreams that we have, that we want to go back to school and get our degree, or we want to start a business, or we want to go run a marathon, or whatever your crazy dream is, when we start thinking about those things, the ultimate goal of the inner bully is to keep us safe. And so we hear those things of, no, you can't do that. You're too old for that. You can't go back to school. You're too old. You're too dumb. You can't learn. You don't know how to learn. You'll never make it. Because the bully doesn't want to be uncomfortable. The bully wants to be safe.
Okay. I need a secretary today. You are just dropping the wisdom. What I love about the idea of the inner bully is at one time it kept us safe. Its goal was like, okay, I'm going to keep you in a safe place, and I'm going to tell you that you're not good at speaking because you got up there and you stammered or stuttered or mispronounced a word and the room laughed and you were hurt. So I'm going to teach you how to avoid that behavior in the future by running this loop. And then as you grow older and you want to step into that experience again, the only reference point you have is the past and the voice of the inner bully in the past that says, no, you can't do it. Remember when you were 5 and you got in front of the room and you couldn't pronounce that word and everybody laughed and how it made you feel? Remember when you were 7 and you tried out for the gymnastics team and you tripped over the mat trying to get onto the mat? You don't want to do that again. Remember when, and it goes back and it starts telling us all these remember wins. Don't do it. You'll fail. You'll fall. You'll get hurt. People will laugh. It's going to be uncomfortable. Stay where you're at. Stay where it's safe. Life is easier here. Nobody's going to notice us.
Right.
But it's all referencing from the past, from the experience and abilities I had as a 5, a 7, a 13, a 21, a 45. I'm not going beyond that, you old person. But it's always referencing the situation of the past and trying to apply it to the present. And so what I love about Hush the Inner Bully is that you don't say ignore the inner bully, shut the inner bully up. It's hush. It's like shh, settle down, settle down. So what are the techniques that you use or teach kids on how to hush down the little inner bully?
I think the most important thing is becoming aware of it, and becoming aware that you don't have to listen to it. And that is really the first step, is knowing that it's there and knowing that what it says isn't true. And for me, that happened about 1.5 years ago. I was on a road trip, and actually I guess it was 2 years ago, and driving cross country, and my inner bully for the longest time always said, you're lazy. You can't do that. You're lazy. You can't do that. You're lazy. You're never going to be anything. You're lazy. You're never going to add up to anything. You're lazy. And I don't know where that came from. I really don't know where in my childhood I heard that or what made that stick. But that was, this is coming from a guy who in college worked 2 jobs and took a full credit load. I mean, I literally slept 2 hours a night. And from the time I was 14 or 15, I've always worked. But in my head, that was what I always heard. I could never sit down and relax. I could never stop, because I always heard that voice, you're lazy. And it was driving cross country in a Penske rental truck. I had just moved my dad back from California, and somewhere on I-75 coming south into Ohio, and I'm listening to our friend and mentor Paul Martinelli teach. And it finally hit me. You're not lazy. It took that long for me to get that voice wasn't mine, and that that I really didn't have to listen to it, but that it was really trying to keep me in a safe spot. So the first key is awareness, Eric. We have to become aware of what that voice is, and then what that voice is saying, and then it's a daily.
Let me recap real quick, because there's some big chunks in there. We've got to, one, become aware that the inner voice is not our voice. Two, that the inner voice, the inner bully, that thing that tells us we're lazy, we're stupid, we're not good at, we'll never make, like all of that is not the truth. We've adopted it as the truth. And as Paul Martinelli and I both, often, and you say, well, is it a truth or is it a belief?
Right.
Because if it's a belief, then we can change it. If it's a truth, then it's universal by everybody in the room. And is everybody lazy? Well, no. So therefore, it's not a truth. It's your belief. So where did that belief come from? How did you adopt that belief? And why are you holding on to that belief? So one is awareness and understanding that it's not the truth and it's not your voice. And then?
Well, and then I think it's beginning to find who you are. It's taking those micro, I call them micro habits, of making a small step every day that I'm going to reaffirm who I am and who I want to be. So I know you talk a lot about positive affirmations, and you talk about naming the things in you that you like and the things that you love about yourself. It's really learning to fall in love with yourself. It's learning to understand who you are, and every day make that affirmation. And I think so many people think, oh, this self-help garbage or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm going to stand in the mirror and I'm going to say, oh, I love myself. I like myself. And yet we don't understand the power of accepting who we are. Accepting yourself for who you are, where you're at, and then deciding where you want to go.
And I love I am statements. I'm all about the I am statement. And so often I will tell people, don't say I'm not lazy, I'm not stupid, I'm not whatever, because even in calling out the not whatever, you're giving time and energy for it to say, well, wait a minute, but remember that one time. Instead, do the I am brilliant, I am creative, I am motivated, I am growing. And this goes back to, if you're a person of faith and they ask, who are you? And he said, I am the beginning and the end. It was like, every time I hear that word I am, whatever follows is what I'm calling into existence. If I say I am creative, creative off in the corner says, oh, that's who I belong to. If I say I'm brilliant, then brilliant over on this side goes, oh, that's who I belong to. I'm prosperous, etc. We send out this order sheet, and all of these things that are possible in the world are like, oh, he said I'm him, so I got to go hang out with him. And so I do agree that when we look in the mirror, if we say, oh, I love myself, I'm lovable, I'm loving, I'm kind, then those things come into us. And so I agree. I believe very much in affirmations, but I also think it's always in the nuance with me.
Right. The devil is in the details,
right?
Right?
Of micro habits, that idea that I will take something small and begin to alter it piece by piece. And going back to your son, I remember a picture of you posting of him doing the dishes in his
In his heels. Yeah.
And he was like, this is not a habit I'm comfortable with. I need to be so comfortable with it that when it's time for me to perform at a higher level, this doesn't become a distraction.
Right.
What? And I think, and I see, he should be on the call. That idea that I'm going to take something and eliminate it now, because at some point I'm going to be called into a higher level of performance, and I don't want to learn the behavior, the skill, the comfort zone-ness of it when the pressure's on. So what micro habits have you been working on since that Route 66, or I'm sorry, I-75 into Ohio? And I love the fact that you are like just blocks away from Toledo, where I grew up.
I think that I was coming through Toledo when that happened.
My mother used to always say, you look like you live on Cherry Street, which only people from Toledo would know.
That's great. Um, so what was the question again? You
So
sidetracked
what are
me.
the micro habits that you've been working on since I-75?
So for me, it started with um, defining my goal and then making sure that every day I was going through and reading that and expressing that, and then of course affirmations. I I have there's three questions I think that all of us really need to answer if we're going to tame or hush the inner bully.
All
Um,
right, Joe, get ready. We're doing 3 questions. Ready, Joe? All right, go. Joe's
and
on board.
and and I'm going to hit them real quick. Number one, what do you want? What are your goals? Because if you're just floating around the world and you're just living your life according to other people's dreams, then the bully runs rampant. The bully will keep you exactly where you are, and you will not gain any ground. So number one, you have to know what you want. Um, Number two is you have to really ask yourself, what am I afraid of? You know,
Ooh.
why what is keeping you stuck in that zone? um, why haven't you made the progress that you need to make? And I have to apologize, my hand's getting tired. I thought I was going to be on my laptop this morning and it wouldn't
You
connect to
didn't
the
read the instructions, did you?
you didn't give me the instructions. But no, that wasn't even it. I couldn't even get on my laptop this morning. It was hilarious. I'm sitting here trying to log in and it's just like no internet, no internet, no internet. So the inner bully's going crazy, like, you're dumb. Why can't you do this?
Not to mock you. And number 3, now he just froze. I'll give him a second to catch up or replay or reconnect while we do that. So number 1 was ask yourself what you want. Number 2 is ask yourself what you're afraid of. And I think so often, and I like the way that Shawn had pointed out that idle hands is the inner bully plaything. When we're not clear on our goals, on our visions, viewing it and micro working into it every single day, he'll be jumping back in just a minute. When we're not looking at it every other day, then that's when the inner bully begins to take over. That's when that voice of not available, not going to happen, not going to be you kind of takes over. I have it over on my desk. I have sort of a life statement, mission for me, and every morning I read it and every evening I read it so that I know what it is and who I am and where I'm going. Because throughout the course of the day, if I'm not checking in on myself, then all of the other distractions, all of the other voices, all of the other people in the room, so to speak, begin to get to take control and begin to own what's happening. And so I'm responsible for guarding the gates. And we had talked about that idea of gates, walls and gates, or gates and walls. It looks like I may have froze. Just hang on a sec. I'm going to see. Are we good, Julia? Or I see a lot of people jumping around up there, so it kind of implies to me that we might be froze or stuck or having an issue. Let me know if everybody is hearing and moving well. Give me a thumbs up, say hello, let me know. I'm going to do this real quick. It may help. I'm showing I'm still live. There we go. I see people coming on, and it looks like you're frizzy. I'm frizzy? Oh, Lord. Can't have no frizzy going on. Well, we did have a storm front just move through the neighborhood. So, okay, Helen says we're good. I'm going to go back to teaching and wait for Shawn to jump back in. If something goes wrong, hey, we'll restart and restart. Set. Anyhow, what I was saying is I think it's important that we look at our goals every day. There's Shawn. That we tune into our goals every day. Restart our goals every day. That we can't just have, and we talked about earlier in the week about having a vision board that had a timeline or a date on it. We can't just set a goal and then wander to it. We have to be very specific. Turn your this way. You're the wrong way, Shawn.
No.
Now you're good.
I don't know what happened there, but I'm back.
I don't know, but we're not going to let anybody defeat us. We are going to fight out. I was recapping number 2 about idle hands or idle minds is the inner bully playground. That when we're
Absolutely.
not focused on our goal, when we're not charting it and we're not being held accountable to it every single day, then that gives the inner bully a chance to go, see, I told you it was not going to happen for me. You're lazy. You know, you had this goal and now look at you. And so
Right.
you have to be micromanaging your goal, especially when it's young. It's like when you have kids. I mean, now your kids, you can feed them once a week and they're okay. But when they were babies, you had to like feed them every 4 hours.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
So, I mean, it's the same thing with our goals and our dreams. When they're new and they're tender, man, you're on them every single day and you're not letting other people handle them and you're not taking them out in public. You're managing them like a newborn. Now,
Right.
shoot, my kid's 9 and 8. I'm hoping that they like disappear for a couple hours down at their friend's house.
Go eat at the neighbors, right?
It was funny because, and I'm sure you get this at your house. Do you want to eat dinner here? What are you having? It was like, yeah, like I was being gracious with the invite. I didn't know I had to qualify it with pizza versus sloppy joes or whatever.
Right.
So what is number 3?
Number 3, what is wrong with me?
Ooh.
Isn't that the heart of what we really want to know? Don't we all feel like there's something really wrong with us? Um, Eric Hoffer says no matter what our achievements might be, we will think well of ourselves only in rare moments, and we need people to bear witness against our inner judge. It's that inner bully. We all walk around for a good part of our life thinking, what's wrong with me? We don't understand that everybody else is just like us. And the most important thing is that we need to know that we're created perfect. Like Paul Martinelli tells us we're created perfect, but we were programmed for failure. Right? How many times have we heard that? So
I would say we're created perfectly and we constantly try and reprogram ourselves into failure.
I would agree with that.
That I think the programming is self, not external, but internal, and that it's a conscious choice to program ourselves for success versus failure. So if Paul wants to come and do Fun Friend Friday, I'll argue the point with him. But I think more importantly is that what is wrong with me? I honestly, hands up, I must ask that question to myself at least once a day. Like I'll be working on something and it'll go wrong, or I'll make a call, or I'll be doing something, and you slip so quickly back into that, oh man, what is wrong with me? Or why isn't this working? Or why am I failing? Or what did I do wrong? Like that, man, somebody cut off my legs again. I thought I was good enough.
I was sitting with a friend just the other day, and she was talking about all these things that made her different from other people, but it really is what made her special. She's amazing. She's a great marketer. She's driven. She has a passion to help people. And she started talking to me about all these things about what's wrong with me and what's wrong with me. And I'm looking at her going, everything you just said was everything that makes you amazing. And how many times do we get sidetracked or we get caught up in being different, or we're afraid to be different, and we allow the bully to tell us that we're sticking out like a sore thumb, or that everybody's looking at us, or everybody's watching us, or we look stupid, when in reality those are the very things that make us us.
I have to, yes. I've shared often that I had a learning disability as a kid, undiagnosed, who never. Spelling and writing and punctuation and phonics, all of that is like my nightmare. I now read about 30, 50 pages twice a day. I mean, my goal is 100 pages a day in reading. But I think because of that, I had to learn to process information in more of a storytelling content. I had to learn how to tune in and listen tighter because I couldn't rely on my notes, because there are times I'll read my notes, I'm like, what is that word? I think all of that handicap in the past gave me skill set for this. And so I think when we ask what's wrong with me, what's different, what's my handicap, we should also ask ourselves, how has that served me up until now? And if I multiplied it, magnified it, would it serve others in some way?
Absolutely. That's great.
Because my daughter is physically challenged. She's also just a girl. And when I first began working with her, her arm used to be like pinned way back up in here. And we used to stretch it out, and then I would hold it at arm's length, and I would count the fingers, and I would say, "You're not broken, you're not," and I would use the knot. And my coach at the time said, "Why are you reminding her what she's not instead of what she could be or who she really is?" I was like, "Oh,
That's good.
okay." And so the next time I went to do it, and we went through the exercise, it was still resistant. What I discovered over a course of a couple of weeks is when I walked in and we would start to do our therapy session, because of what she was getting ready to hear, she would stretch out her arm and get her hand ready because she was so wanting to hear who she is and what she could become. And I think the same is true for us, that we have got to stop focusing on what we're not and express that in who we are and how it will serve us bigger. And I think we have an obligation to reward and affirm people around us with you're unique, you're talented, your humor, whatever, because we all need to hear it.
We do. And if
And as
we,
often,
Eric, if we can understand that we are unique and that we are created and we were created to create and we're invited into that journey, when we get that and we grasp that, that's when we can really hush the inner bully. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You know, if you're watching right now, there's nothing wrong with you. You are exactly who you were created to be. And that doesn't give us an excuse to stay where we are because we were created to be beings of growth. We're created to push towards better, to push towards more. So there's nothing wrong with you. You're an amazing human being, but you can be more if you choose to be more.
I so affirm that. I think of those rows of apple orchards, in the middle Ohio Valley, planted by Johnny Appleseed. And do you think the apple trees stand next to each other and go, "What's wrong with me?" I mean, really, look at you. You've got these. No, they go about the business of being apple trees and producing apples and blooming and going through their seasons and growing. They don't stand there and complain and compare. And I think of horses on a racetrack that have the blinders. When I start to get in that moment of like, what's wrong with me? Look at they're doing, look at he's doing. He's got t-shirts. He's got and I start to compare everything. I'm like, man, dude, put the blinders on. Put the blinders on. They're doing their thing. They've been called into their space, their story, their journey, whatever it is. You got to get back. And when you're focused on your goals and when you've answered that number one question of what is it I really want, and you're busy doing it every single day, you don't have time for all of the other comparison and doubts and insecurities. It's only when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing do you start to look over and see what other people are doing and if maybe you should start doing what they're doing.
Yep. That's good.
No, that's you. You taught it. I just translated it because I had that ability to taught me how to listen. No, I love it. So you run a group home,
Yes.
foster care kids. How many kids in the house?
We actually currently only have 2, so there's only 4 kids in my house right now.
How many does it hold?
Sometimes we have a total of 8.
Oh God.
So
Yeah,
we're relaxing right now with 4 kids.
Yeah, so I've been there, done that, and it's funny because the 2 can be just as hard, especially if you have a boy and a girl, and one's 14 and one's 15. Then it's total chaos. The idea of locking the pantry and all of those things that go on with running a group home, I am so sympathetic to you, my friend. Man, the horror stories I could tell about being in group home management for foster care. I used to work early in the career at Lutheran Family Services, and we had multiple group homes, and they were 90-day respite care for kids in transition and decision. And so it was not uncommon at 11 o'clock at night to have the sirens pulling up and a kid being dropped off and you doing an intake, and it's like, really? And then realizing the only thing they had was a paper bag that maybe had one or two clothing items, and they had to go off to school. So I want to I'm going to be selfish for a minute for foster care because it's my heart. Everybody is somewhere near some kind of foster care agency. Trust me, there's one around your corner, in your neighborhood, down your street. As a foster care provider, especially in emergency, are you emergency or long-term?
We're long-term.
Long-term. Long-term care. And we're moving into the holiday season. What is it that they would like, you know what, if you want to make an impact in the world today, give somebody to somebody, what is it like, could you do this on behalf of Shawn for kids in care?
I think more important than stuff is time.
Ooh.
Kids don't need more gifts. Kids don't need more clothes. Kids don't need more toys and trinkets and video games and electronics. Kids need somebody that care. Kids need somebody to pick them up and take them bowling. Kids need somebody to pick them up and take them to the movies. Kids need somebody to pick them up and hang out with them. Kids need somebody to sponsor an event where they can get together in the community. There's so much stuff at Christmas time, and we have, people come out of the woodwork at Christmas, and foster kids honestly are probably the most spoiled kids at Christmas.
We used to get truckloads for the kids.
It's ridiculous. But how many people are willing to take an hour to go to a foster home and sit and make hot chocolate or make cookies or ask a kid their story?
And I will back that because, so as a foster parent or as a foster parent group home, and when you're in the employment, so to speak, of the foster, the day-to-day, you're running to doctor's appointments, you're running to court appointments, you're filling out paperwork, you're having to go to school meetings, that you're really running a 9-to-5 job sometimes when a new kid comes into care. That as much as you want to sit down and stop and like get to connect with a kid, hear their story, be connected with them, you've got 4 or 5 kids that are going to court dates, doctor's appointments, family visits, supervised visits. Like you're transporting. I used to laugh that this arm was more suntan than this one from just hanging out the window. That having somebody step in and say, hey, I'd love to hang out with the kid for an hour. Do you need me to come to the home? Do you need me to take them off site? And getting that hour where that the kid is getting one-on-one attention that's not related to the courts or to the doctor or to the family visit or to the intervention or to the therapist. Man, I tell you, the foster care kids, they've never, and I put a special pledge or plea out to the men, because most of our kids in care come from homes where male role models are lacking. And so sitting down with somebody that's a male and being able to have a conversation about what does it take to be a guy? Because the guy that I had in my life wasn't exactly something I want to aspire to. So I like that. Time is what they need most.
Absolutely.
Attention.
Yep.
Yeah. All of this talk is not going to make me open our home back up, just so you know.
We'll see. Give us some time.
I don't know, but I did a list one day. 437 kids by the time I finally, quote, retired, though I haven't even retired from that yet. So I don't know. No, but truthfully, our kids in foster care and our kids in care, they're wonderful kids. Their parents don't have the tools. The kids are learning bad tools. Stop what you're doing. Figure out how you can meet them where they're at. You're right. They don't need another bike, another iPad, another Walkman. What they really want is somebody to just talk to and spend time with and get their head on straight with somebody that's really willing to listen.
Yep.
That note, and I'll say a side note, though, that foster care homes do need a lot of health and beauty aisle things. All right. Well, it is time, my friend, for the Fun Friend Friday. Lucky Charms edition. So, for those of you who haven't seen the Fun Friend Friday Lucky Charms game, what we do last night, my son, who came into care at 15 months, it took until 3 to be adopted, took these words and placed them in the envelopes. Words like intuition, curiosity, desire. He mixed them up. I can't read them upside down. Priorities. And he placed them in the envelope. And then Shawn, my friend, is going to pick his chosen word and teach. So we have red balloon, rainbow, I guess I should say them, yellow moon, green clover, orange star, blue diamond, and pink heart. So as you debate it, we have to do the official theme song. I want you to know that Nathan Cook was the first user of the Happy Envelopes. So, have you picked your envelope?
I'm going to go with the green clover.
Now, hang on, I'll find out why we do the music interlude. I'm waiting for your son to just sneak in and start to do like a stage dance. Like,
He's at school, so that won't happen.
no, he's at school. All right, so your word for the green envelope is, or green clover is, ooh, this is like really your word. Ooh. I love how you're like nervous and excited all at the same time.
I am nervous.
It's kind of like a candy rush and then realizing that that was the last Snickers in the entire bag. Influence.
Influence. So, I think we all get to make a decision of who we're going to influence and how we're going to influence. And I would challenge everyone to not let the inner bully make that decision. I think for a long time in my life personally, I sat back and listened to that voice of, you can't do that. You're not old enough. You don't have a degree. Who do you think you are to try that? And I think I missed out on a lot, and I missed out on influencing a lot. And I think that there were a lot of things that I could have done and a lot of impact that I could have made if I'd have been on top of that inner bully. If I'd have hushed the inner bully and said, no, I'm going to because it needs to be done. There are organizations out there that need you to volunteer. They need your time. They need you to influence. So my challenge to you is hush the inner bully and go out and make a difference.
Wow. I love the idea that don't let the inner bully make the decision on who or what you can do or how you can influence. That's so long, and I hear that message because it really rings true personally, is for so long that inner bully said you're not smart enough, you haven't earned enough, you haven't passed this level, you haven't, you don't have enough. You're not the celebrity superstar, big wig, whatever that's needed in the room, so you don't have value, so stay home. Sit down, shut up, it's not your turn. The inner bully impacts our ability to influence others, or even to make the choice to begin to create influence in our lives and in the people around us. And until we hush that inner bully, as leaders, what is leadership?
Influence.
How can we lead if we can't influence? And how can we lead if we allow the inner bully to lead us? Brilliant, my friend, brilliant.
Well, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that inner bully voice. So you guys, as you wander forward through the day and you begin to hear things going on up in here, I ask you, just challenge it. Just talk back to it. Like, is that the inner bully? Is that you, inner bully? Or is that divine voice, is that spirit, is that heart. And it's pretty easy after a while to hear them because one's kind of got that dark shadows kind of music playing in the background, the ominous negative, like, no, you can. And the other one always causes your shoulders to lift back and your head to show up and you to step into it. So start listening to your inner bully and don't be afraid to just go, shh, 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 shh. I got this. It's okay, inner bully. I've got this. Just hush, 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 hush. If I need you, I'll call you. I love that. Well done, my friend. Well done. What are you working on now that people need to be following you, watching you, growing with you?
What am I working on?
And if you have extra kids, what address do they send them to?
No, we're not accepting any packages. Currently in the works is the Unshakable Confidence Challenge that's going to be coming up starting December 1st. But
Ooh.
until then, I'm really looking for people to give me some feedback. So if anybody watching would like to go to hushtheinnerbully.com and fill out, there's a 1-question survey. And what I'm doing is putting together a challenge based on the idea of micro habits of how we can begin to take steps to hush the inner bully.
So, Gal, did you get the URL, hushtheinnerbully.com? And I looked at it, and it really is just one question. And what I like about that format and what I like about what you're doing, and it's the smart way of doing it, is you're not going to build it and hope that they come. You will listen and then teach into it. Yes. And so the more information, the more data he collects, the more better. I almost said it. The more better. The better it will become and be of more value to you and to others. So take a minute today, go over to hushtheinnerbully.com, fill out the survey, and then will they automatically get notified when the class starts if they do the survey?
Yep, I will shoot an email out to everybody whenever we're ready to start.
Okay, so you guys got to be in that. See, Gail's got it. So Sonia's here. Who else is? Julia's in the room. Joe's in the room. I can't see everybody. Muhammad, you have people from Bangladesh. So hushtheinnerbully.com is now international.
Awesome. Well, it was international when you were in Uruguay.
Oh, well, I don't count. I'm just one little guy wandering the planet, hoping to make a difference. You have David Peters in the house. If you haven't met David Peters, y'all got to connect. He's doing some Facebooks that are like cutting straight into the middle of it. So I appreciate you, my friend, for being a Fun Friend Friday guest. I love the way you parent. I love watching all of the adventures of you and your kids. Like I said, sometimes if there's more than 2 kids, I just look for the pink redheaded ones. I'm like, okay, that must be all the Shawns. Because they are a distinguished bunch. And your son, just, let him know that his courage is so clear. His commitment to his dream and his passion for what he wants to do. He is more of a man today than I was at 16, and sometime probably around 30, he's still probably going to beat me. By following it with such passion and conviction and letting the inner bully just be silenced. And that credit really goes to you and your wife, who have intentionally raised children with confidence and courage and passion and purpose. And I know the journey is not always easy, especially when you're connected to the foster care system. So thank you and thank your wife for really pouring into kids in care. It's hard. It's hard work. And it's painful work. And I appreciate you for staying in the fight for my kids.
Thank you. It's been fun.
It's been fun. I appreciate you guys for joining us for Fun Friend Friday. Again, check out hushtheinnerbully.com. And I'll be back in the Fiesta Wear next Friday for another Fun Friend Friday. In the meantime, go out and find a foster care agency. Check your church, check your temple, check your place of worship, check with your county. You may have to get fingerprinted. Don't worry. That's only so that the kids are protected. It's part of sometimes that happens in agencies. But they need you. These kids need you. What better place to develop your leadership skills by influencing a kid to learn to hush their own inner bullies so that they can grow up and achieve more in life? All right, do it. It's not going to cost you anything. Maybe a little bit of time, but oh well, what the heck? You don't get to watch Game of Thrones this season. Thank you again. Everybody go out and have a fantastic day. I will see you on Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern. Bye-bye. Thank you,
Thanks,
Shawn.
Eric.
I appreciate you so much.
Thanks.